Welcome to the Real Paranormal Stories podcast with your host, Christopher Buckner. Send your stories to realparanormalstoriespodcast@gmail.com. Royalty-free music provided by Kevin MacLeod and Tabletop Audio. And now, let's take a trip into the paranormal. This story comes from Reddit user DoubleMaintenance880. And this is their story. My farm has been in my family's name since 1798. It was built on an Indian burial ground. I know that's always what people say, but I'm 100% serious. All throughout my childhood, I've heard stories passed down from my ancestors. Stories like our livestock disappearing, names being called from the tree line. You know, the normal ghost stories you get told by the campfire. I always thought they were just that, stories. But something that happened yesterday changed my mind completely. While I was trying to sleep watching Seinfeld, like I always do, the dog started to go crazy, which is pretty normal. But then I started to hear whimpers as soon as a scream started. It was like no scream I have ever heard. It was high-pitched and low-pitched at the same time. I immediately grabbed my 12 gauge and ran outside as fast as I could, but then everything just went still. No screaming, no barking. Hell, even the cicada stopped chirping. It was the most terrifying quiet I have ever experienced. I turned on my phone light and started scanning the perimeter of the dog pen when I noticed whispering from the tree line. It was a weird whisper, like it was beckoning me to come closer, but it was in no language I could understand. As any sane person would do, I immediately ran inside and locked the doors and double-checked that the windows were locked. As soon as I got inside, all the noises started again. Everything was normal. As I went upstairs, I had a terrible feeling of being watched, and I just couldn't sleep. I haven't slept since then, and I'm terrified of what may happen tonight. And that is their story. This story comes from Reddit user Garlic Bread Fairy. And this is their story. I've always loved horror and ghost stories, but have had a healthy dose of skepticism when it comes to real-life supernatural encounters. That was until this incident occurred in 2015. I was visiting a friend in Portland for the weekend. Halloween weekend, as cliché as that sounds. The house my friend lived in with several other roommates was old. Everything creaked and groaned, especially at night. I wish I knew how old it was exactly, but I do not. On my initial tour of the house, I noticed it had a laundry chute from the upstairs bathroom leading to the basement cellar, where there are laundry machines and a bunch of old spooky furniture from residents past, moldered and sat, getting covered in dust and spider webs. They never touched the old stuff, but it was there. I was in my mid-20s then and was getting ready to go out with my buddy to a basketball game. Trailblazers versus Suns. Then hit the bars. Whilst putting on my Halloween makeup in the bathroom mirror, I felt this odd sensation. This stillness. Then in the pit of my stomach, I felt anxious butterflies. The kind of thing you feel when you're playing hide and seek, and you can see the seeker from where you're hiding, and they are moments away from finding you. I was kind of frozen in this trance for a moment, when all of a sudden, a full roll of toilet paper tipped out from the rest of the pack, went onto its side on the floor, and began to unravel. With absolutely no draft in the bathroom, no fan, no gust of wind, this brand new roll of toilet paper just began to move and unravel by itself. And it was unraveling down the laundry chute. I stood there, eyeliner in hand, poised against my eyelid, watching this teepee unravel through the mirror in which I was doing my makeup. When it finally made it to the end of the roll, the cardboard inner roll just spun around in a circle for what felt like forever, then stopped. I kept standing there for a moment, unsure what just happened. Suddenly my friend knocks on the bathroom door, which startled me. "Hey, is everything okay in there?" I came out looking super pale, and he's like, "What's wrong?" I told him what happened, and he looked at me funny. He told me he was just in the basement and saw a ream of toilet paper come streaming down and fold over itself in a perfect zigzag. He led me downstairs, and sure enough, I see the unraveled roll of teepee neatly folded over itself, with no one side being any longer than another. He kept telling me, "Seriously? You're telling me you didn't do that?" And he finally believed me after some convincing. He had thought I was doing it and came up to check on me, thinking I was just playing around with toilet paper for some reason. But neither of us had been doing anything to provoke the incident. He was digging through his laundry looking for his son's shirt. I understand completely if, having read this, you think this is the stupidest incident you've ever heard of. It happened to me, and I know how stupid it is. But to me and my friend, it was crazy bizarre at the time. Nowadays, my friend and I just laugh about it because, why? What kind of funny little haunting was that? Maybe some presents wanted to play a classic Halloween night prank on us and TP the living? But to this day, I feel like some presence was playing around with that toilet paper. My friend didn't own the house, and had only lived there for a few months. And I never got a chance to ask the main owner if other strange things had happened there before. But I don't care what anyone tells me. I count this as a hilarious paranormal experience, with what my friend and I now call the toilet paper ghost. And that is their story. That's all for this episode of the Real Paranormal Stories podcast. If you liked what you heard, please leave us a review anywhere this podcast can be found.